Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hi, red.olaughlin here. Welcome to Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. We're also on E360 TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, new on Zizzle. Who else? Amazon Fire, Zizzle. We're on a lot of them. If you miss our shows, you can catch them on any of those. Plus, they're also available archived on the YouTube under USA Global TV and Radio. And please join me today. We're talking more about a deep dive into nutrition. What does your body really need? Our body has two main control functions, one at the cellular level and one in our gut. You satisfy those two, you'll have a long, healthy life. You disrupt either one of those two, and all sorts of things can go wrong. But let me get the slides loaded up and get started today. Slide number 1. There we go. I'm a researcher. I fell in love with chemistry very early in my life. I got a degree in it, never got a chance to practice it. Got an invitation to Vietnam. That disrupted my life for a few years. Anyway, never been part of the medical or pharmaceutical industry. Great industries, just never happened to get into those. I ended up in a totally different world. But what I do today, I evaluate and I assess what's going on in the body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. If this chemical reaction is taking place and it generates something else, and that generates something else, what are those things going on? What can we do about it? I get calcium in the body. I took it in through a food. How does it actually get to my bones? But more importantly, how do I keep it there? That's what I look for. If I have a tendency, if I don't take this particular vitamin, B12, for instance, that mimics Alzheimer's if I don't take that vitamin on a regular basis, whether I get it from the foods I eat or the supplements I take. But regardless, red.olaughlin here, and I'm going to guide you down this pathway. We're looking for causes. If you fix a cause, you generally can treat a problem. If you're treating the symptoms, all you're doing is treating symptoms. However, whatever is causing the problem is still going on. You haven't stopped it. And a lot of times, hiding the symptoms makes the cause get worse. As always, this presentation is for awareness and education. We talked about, this is episode number 6, I believe. In the first 5, we went into a detail about nutrition in general, talked a lot in detail on vitamins and minerals. And this, I believe, is our last mineral that I wanted to cover, selenium. Now, selenium, it's important for several things in the body. We don't need a whole lot of it, but we need some. DNA production primarily, thyroid function, immune function, also necessary for reproduction. It's a very powerful antioxidant. In other words, it helps the inflammatory reactions going on at the cellular level. And it's a great, great, great mineral for brain health. One of the best sources, Brazil nuts, eggs, seafood, brown rice. Many, 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 many sources of selenium. When we're deficient, probably one of the biggest things that happens right away is our immune system starts to crash a little bit. And that kind of opens us up for issues that we wouldn't normally have. Might have cardiovascular problems, fertility issues, thyroid. Again, it's one of those things that's really needed in thyroid. You take it away, boom, have a problem. Because it's such a great brain health mineral, you deplete it a little bit, neurological problems happen, depression, anxiety, dementia. And again, because of the body's need for it all over, musculoskeletal problems. Now, too much, as always, it seems like if I get too much or too little of something, one of the most obvious side effects, symptoms is nausea, vomiting. So that's very common for almost all of these deficiencies or too much. So you have to, what else happens in addition to nausea and vomiting? That's where you start to separate out, well, it's not that, it's probably so. Nail discoloration, oh, maybe. Hair loss, well, for me, I wouldn't be able to tell. Kidney failure, respiratory distress. Again, if my immune system is starting to go down, I may end up with some colds and some other respiratory issues. We didn't cover this a whole lot in all the other ones, but every one of these minerals that we're looking at, you can get in. Calcium carbonate is the most standard one that ends up in our supplements. It's a very difficult chemical to get into the body. Well, selenium comes as sodium selenite, L-selenium methionine, selenium methyl selenocysteine, lots of things that are there in order to get those. So even though you may not have one, all those other ones are available. Okay, apparently I have a problem here. Let me answer my problem. Let me back off for just a second. I'll join you again in a moment. Technology today, what can I say? Things happen, and they happen to me, and okay, it is what it is. I'm not concerned. We'll just keep moving on down the road. Anyway, the whole purpose of looking at these different chemicals is some are easier to get. Even though they're easy, doesn't necessarily mean they're the best ones for you. Magnesium has a whole lot of them. Some of them are very good for a certain aspect of our health, some of them other ones. So to look at the label, see what you're getting. If you're really concerned about how well that is absorbed into the body, Google has an answer for that. But that particular one has 3 different ones. Sometimes you find multiple chemicals that are the same ones. Like vitamin E is 8 different chemicals. We don't get it all from one food group. So anyway, moving right along, fish oils. And the ones that we really need are omega-3 fatty acids. That's EPA and DHEA. Eicosapentaenoic acid and docosahexaenoic acid. And if you look at the brain, I'm not going to say half of the brain, but a very major portion of it is made up of a fatty acid. And so anything that starts to infringe about the effectiveness of those fatty acids causes brain issues. So if everything is going well, we got brain health, eye health, weight loss is under control, lower blood pressure, lower triglycerides, rheumatoid arthritis under control, inflammation is under control. Anyway, those are things that we can control when our brain health is the way it's supposed to be. But you start taking it away, and we end up with many other issues. And since it's a brain disorder, now we're looking at anxiety, depression, dementia, and others in that area. Sources: oily fish, mackerel, salmon, oysters. But there's also a lot of other sources for that too. Too little: brain fog, confusion, concentration, memory issues. Too much: now we start running into a problem because it's not something that we typically see a lot of, but sometimes it confuses other things that are in our body. So in other words, if I take a lot of fish oil, I may end up with some blood thinning. And when I start doing that, I start affecting other things in the body. Because vitamin A is contained in some of the other sources of fatty acids, omega-3 fatty acids, I may end up with a thing called vitamin A toxicity. And because I'm getting my omega-3 from mackerel or from salmon, if I'm really overdoing it, there's a lot of environmental toxins that are out in the ocean. So that when I start harvesting these things, I'm sitting there and I'm having 2-3 pounds of salmon every night, depending on where that salmon was fished and how it was processed, I may be picking up a lot of mercury and other things that are out there in the oceans. Too much may also affect the immune system. And because this happens to be a fat, I really do need to take this with food. Just taking an empty stomach, if you've done it, you know about an hour later, all of a sudden you're burping up this fish smell. Not something you want. Anyway, it's a major part there. But when I look at what other fatty acids are out there, they're called omega-6s. And the omega-3s are essential fatty acids. We don't make them in our body. Omega-6s, I need some, not all of them. They're plant-based. However, the biggest problem we have is almost all of our food nowadays is made with omega-6 fatty acids. And when you start doing that, in and of itself, not an issue. With anything, too much becomes an issue. If I can hone in on a 1-to-1 ratio of omega-3 to omega-6, I'm living a good life. That's really kind of what I want. But if I start getting above 4-to-1 omega-6 to omega-3, now I have a problem. I have a major problem because as that goes up 14-to-1, 30-to-1, 40-to-1, which the typical American diet, standard American diet, has in that 30, 40, 50-to-1 omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, because most of the time we don't get the omega-3s and we get an overabundance of omega-6. Disease starts in the body at the cellular level when you have chronic low-level cellular inflammation. You don't have the anti-inflammatories. You don't have, in fact, what's happening is typically we would not have a problem with omega-6s, but I got so many of them, they become a major problem. They actually cause the inflammation. So now I have chronic low-level cellular inflammation. I have that at the cellular level. My gut is starting to be inflamed. Everything that's there to protect you is starting to suffer a little bit. So that is a major problem. If you're eating out a lot, you're eating a lot of packaged foods at home, anything that is pre-prepared, processed already, suspect, be concerned. We have two primary essential acids that we're looking at, essential fatty acids. Linoleic acid comes from one of the omega-6s, and the alpha-linolenic is also an omega-3. Our bodies can't make them, so I need them from a different source. Now, we also have another one called an omega-9 fatty acid, olive oil, also called oleic acid. It's not an essential fatty acid. However, it's monounsaturated. So you got saturated fats, you got all sorts of things. And we've talked about these before, but I'm not going to go into that level of detail. Anything monoessential, monounsaturated, it's good for us. It's anti-inflammatory. It increases our insulin sensitivity, something that's definitely a plus. I can get the omega-9s typically from olive oil, but from nuts and nut oils. Too little, dandruff, dry skin, flaky, peeling skin, that was anything on the surface. Too much, now we start having an increased risk of obesity and cardiovascular problems. Okay, that kind of covers most of that aspect. Now I want to start getting into some of the specialty things. CoQ10. I'm going to say 10 years ago, it was only available as ubiquinone. And our bodies take the ubiquinone and convert it to ubiquinol. Well, the Japanese found a fairly decent, cost-effective way of creating ubiquinol, which is what our bodies use. So you go down to the store and you buy CoQ10, look at the label, it says ubiquinone, and now you pick up the next bottle and it says, whoa, this one's 3 times the price. Put that back on the shelf. Actually, the ubiquinone has a very low bioavailability in the body. In other words, I take a pill and I don't get very much of it. However, if I take the ubiquinol, now I get 3, 4, 5, 6 times what the ubiquinone is. So even though the price is a little higher, it's probably a much better healthy option because you get so much more in your body. What if you're not taking it as a pill form? Where do you get it from? Meats, seeds, oils, veggies, and supplements. But the thing that most people don't understand, and this is really true when you're looking at cholesterol, cholesterol is needed in every cell in the body. And when you start looking at it, we're providing energy to every cell in the body. So I really need this CoQ10. So if I'm taking a statin drug to lower my cholesterol, which I'm not sure why that ever happened. I think I don't want to voice my opinion on that one. But a statin drug shuts down the body's production of CoQ10. So I may be eating the right foods. I take the statin drug to lower my cholesterol. Boom. I've just done a major disservice to myself because I am no longer getting CoQ10 to every cell in my body that I need. And this CoQ10 has a lot of issues. So depending on what drugs you're taking, there may be an interface. You talk to your pharmacist, talk to your doctor. But you could have issues with your heart, your liver, diabetes. If you're pregnant, a major problem there. If you're on blood thinners, again, a major problem. Thyroid. CoQ10, in most cases, it's a good deal to have. In fact, the companies that made the statin drugs, they actually have a patent on one of them that has CoQ10 in the statin drug, but they never produced it, but they have it. There are many articles that say if I'm taking a statin drug, take CoQ10 with it. Talk to your doctor. If you're on a statin drug, there's a doctor, we talked about this earlier. Your doctor has a legal and a moral obligation to treat a problem you have. If you have a high cholesterol, the standard thing is you take this drug. Well, there are things that can be done that you can talk to your doctor about directly and say, hey, doc, this article I read said if I do this and this and this, it's just as good as this statin drug. Let me do this for a few months and see what happens. Your doctor can shake his head yes and say, okay, let's try, come back in 3 months. Or they say, no, I know, but again, talk to your doctor, give them some evidence that says, I'm willing to take a chance and monitor you and see how you do on this thing. But statin drugs and CoQ10 do not mix. DHEA, dihydroepiandrosterone. I have problems with every single time I say it. So I'm just going to say DHEA. Some of these things just roll off the tongue, other ones don't. Made in our adrenal glands. It's responsible for our sex hormones, the androgens and estrogens. After age 20, start to see a little dive. However, nowadays, they're starting to say, well, if this thing was so good in our early years, maybe I need some of this in my later years. So there's some articles out there that says, hey, this may be a good anti-aging thing. But there's also some articles out there saying the sample size wasn't big enough or it didn't represent this. There's both sides of the equation. I have a tendency to believe that it probably is a decent anti-aging option. But again, like anything else, what is the right amount to be taking for you, for your health history, for everything that makes up your overall health? It's been known to relieve depression. A lot of people are starting to look at it from a mental health treatment perspective. Can it prevent some issues that we see, anxiety, dementia, other things? A lot of articles out there. Again, probably something that you need to do a little research on your own. If you're being treated for something, talk to your doctor about it. Not too many side effects, upset stomach, oily skin, hair loss. There's actually probably a lot more than that. I only chose to put a couple of them in there. But if I have a deficiency, maybe it's not the mere fact that I am not getting enough DHEA. Maybe I'm having a problem with my adrenal or my pituitary gland. That is a kind of a hint, a clue that if I'm having a problem, this might be a preview of things to happen. So if I'm having deficiency in DHEA, I may have unexpected weight loss, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, dehydration, sexual dysfunction, craving for salt. If I have too much, it really is different in men and women. It's because it's making your estrogen, your testosterone. We're going to see different things. In some cases, it's going to be similar, but you're going to see acne, a deeper voice, excess body or facial hair loss on the top of your head, increased muscle mass, menstrual irregularities, sterility, weight gain around the middle. But again, for men, you might actually see some breast enlargement, reduced sperm count, testicular issues. Boys, early onset of puberty. For girls, enlarged genitals. This, as I said, could be a result of something wrong with my adrenal glands. It could be a cancer, it could be a tumor. But it's something that when you start looking at these side effects, these symptoms, good time to talk to your doctor about let's check out some of these other things. And as you get older, you make less. So it may be one of those ones that what is the right amount that I need to be taking for my age and my lifestyle. Melatonin. This is kind of a really interesting one too. Most of us think it's sleep, and it is, because as we live our life in the old days, you're outside working all the time, it gets dark, you go inside, you sleep. Well, because of the sunlight on the body, our bodies make melatonin as the sun goes down. When the sun comes up, it stops making melatonin. It helps us keep our circadian rhythm in cycle. But there are just so many things we don't understand about melatonin. Jet lag, I've used it a lot to counter some of those effects. I've also used the EFT, emotional freedom techniques, and I find that works out fairly well with regard to jet lag. A lot of sleep issues. They've seen melatonin as a potential treatment for cancer, COVID, dementia, depression. Are they good? I don't know. I looked at several of them. It's, again, if you go to do a study, some people have a pre-designed, this is what I want out of the study, and you get what you find. But it's found in many foods that we eat: cherries, mushrooms, bananas, a lot more than that. It's made in the pineal gland in our brain. Most of us just get it in supplements. And it's so easy to get too much. And if we have too much, makes our sleep a lot harder: drowsy, fatigue, getting up, headaches, confusion, nightmares, some cardiovascular concerns. If I'm getting too little, insomnia, because I can't get to sleep. My sleep, I finally get to sleep, and then I have difficulty waking up. Groggy all morning long, mood changes throughout the day. And because I'm getting older, I'm not making as much as I used to. So aging also causes a decrease in melatonin. If you're on melatonin for a while and you're not outside very much, fine. You're outside working in the garden, taking walks, you might want to do things back and forth. So from a short-term perspective, may not be a bad thing to have. Long-term, every single day, may not be the wisest thing to do. An issue, talk to your pharmacist, talk to your doctor. I found it something interesting, the fact that in Britain, in the United Kingdom, you can't get melatonin without a prescription. I thought that was pretty interesting. So let's see what we have here. I think I'm going to leave at resveratrol and cover that when we come back next time, because it's one of a couple different things that needs, in order to be absorbable in the body, I really need something else in it. And most of the time, we're not aware of it. So with that, let me just kind of bounce on down the road here to, whoops, I'm almost at the end anyway. We'll just pick up the last slide the next time we show up. USA Global TV has a playlist of all my former shows on Talking Heads. As an expert presenter, you can find out information on brain, gut health, heart health, stress, toxins, cancer. One of the best books I've written on this topic is The Joy of Ageless Health. It talks about the source of disease at the cellular level in the body and what you can do about it. And I can be found at red.olaughlin.com. And if you have any questions at all, please give me a call, send me an email. Take care. Catch you next week, and we'll continue on down this journey. Bye now.